Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Brian Jerome Bowen. Bowen was shot and killed on Wednesday, March 21st, 2018 in the 300 block of 101st Street in the Broadway-Manchester neighborhood of South LA, according to LA County coroner records. Chisholm Cassell and Tavarius Gamage were subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. Just before midnight on March 20th, 2018, defendants Chisholm Cassell and Tavarius Gamage, both members of the Rollin 60 Street Gang, approached a home occupied by victim Brian Bowen, his father, and his brothers. Defendant Cassell walked up to a car sitting in the driveway, pointed a gun at his occupant, Mr. Nichols, and demanded money. When Nichols said he had none, Cassell asked where the man with the gold chains was. Nichols said he didn't know. Cassell then entered the house without knocking, with co-defendant Gamage remaining outside. Defendant brandished a gun, punched one of the brothers in the face, and asked where those gold chains at. The victim entered wearing gold chains, and defendant pointed the gun at him and demanded them. The victim punched defendant and tried to grab the gun, and he and his brother wrestled with defendant. Defendant shot the victim in the back, after which the gun jammed. The brother then stabbed defendant and disarmed him. The neighbor and her son arrived from next door, and the victim's brothers and the neighbor's son beat defendant with fists, a bat, and a chair, ultimately disabling him. During the beating, defendant yelled for help from co-defendant Gamage, and after he was subdued said, "The 60 sent me over here. I'm just over here because they sent me." The victim died at the scene. LAPD officer Gregory Sovic testified as a gang expert. He recognized defendants Cassell and Gamage as Rollin 60's members and identified the primary activities of the gang as burglaries, robberies, vandalism, graffiti, shootings, assault with deadly weapons, homicides, and drug trafficking. He identified defendant Cassell as having the moniker Will Kill. Officer Sovic opined based on a hypothetical that the crime was committed for the gang. Defendant Cassell was charged with murder, attempted home invasion robbery, first-degree burglary, second-degree attempted robbery, and unlawful firearm activity, and it was alleged he personally discharged the firearm and the crimes were gang-related. Co-defendant Gamage was charged similarly. At trial, defendant Cassell claimed he went to the Bowen house to buy drugs from the victim and became embroiled in the fight only because the victim inexplicably struck him. The jury found Cassell not guilty of murder, but guilty of voluntary manslaughter and unlawful firearm activity, and found true that he personally discharged the firearm, but not true that he committed the manslaughter for the benefit of a gang. The jury deadlocked on the remaining counts and did so again after retrial. The jury found co-defendant Gamage not guilty of murder and deadlocked on the remaining counts. After finding in a bifurcated proceeding that defendant Cassell had suffered a prior strike conviction, the court sentenced him to a total of 33 years and 4 months in prison. Brian Jerome Bowen was 27 years old at the time of death.